of this market, even in the midst of a bull rally. Let's start with the reasons that you aren't invested. You've got no money, you've got no trust in the system, and you've got no guts to withstand the ups and downs and uncertainty of the market. You are just plain scared to get in. Joining me now for more on this is Luis Barajas, a financial planning expert who heads up his own wealth management firm in Southern California, and Ryan Mack, the president of Optimum Capital Management, and he is a financial planner with and a vocal advocate for financial literacy in America. Ryan, let's start with you. No money. That is what a lot of people say. They do not have the money to get into the stock market. You have said, you've written a book where you talk about how little people can have to get started. Can you, if you can put away $25 a month, get into the stock market?
Absolutely. You know, we have two types of individuals. We have those types that say that they're struggling to live check to check. They are struggling to afford shelter. But then you have those individuals who would prefer to believe that they're struggling, living check to check. But when it comes to getting that new phone, that iPhone, they're first in line. When it comes to paying $10 to $15 a month for lunch, they're able to do that, to afford that. That premium cable membership that you don't watch even television for, you can afford that. They don't prioritize these types of things. Well, there's tons of things out there that are available for $25 out of your paycheck. Direct purchase programs in terms of purchasing stocks. You can buy Kellogg, you can buy Microsoft, you can buy GE, you can buy different types of Disney. All of these types of Fortune 500 companies, you can purchase for as little as $25 a month directly from their websites.
Like Ryan, Lewis, you deal with people who in many cases are making their first foray into financial literacy, and a big problem that they are going to have is trust. A lot of people say the markets are rigged against individual investors, that small fries like them don't have a chance against the big boys. And I have to tell you, Lewis, I don't disagree. I don't trust the financial system all that much myself, but I need it to create wealth, and the stock market has made people rich over the last 4 years.
Well, absolutely. But the problem is that, you know, there's no trust because we don't even trust our politicians besides the financial institutions, besides the media. I mean, we're watching this show and we're going to turn the channel and watch another show, and all of a sudden we don't know who to trust. Right. And even with our own communities out there, we don't know who to trust. In the financial planning industry, it's all based on, most of the time, it's commission, and they're selling us products that at the end of the day, they're really high in cost, lots of fees, and again, who do you trust?
But in the end, what do you tell people who you counsel? Because you've seen this market run. I get it. There's a real reason not to trust people. But what do? Do you sit it out?
No, you don't sit it out. What I do is I focus on long-term. I focus on creating hope in people, making them see that, look, well, if you're going to be invested in the stock market or in equities, like in real estate as well, you have to actually invest. Those are growth type of investments. Putting your money into a savings account for long-term for your retirement is very risky. It's riskier than putting into an index fund over the long term. So they have to trust themselves. They have to educate and inform themselves, you know.
Well, that's an interesting point, Ryan, because most people would think the opposite. They would say putting my money into a bank is not risky. Putting it into an index fund, which is a basket of stocks, is risky. Comes down to people's fear, no guts, worried about the market. The market is volatile. It's risky. What do you do when people tell you that?
Well, essentially, you know, it's this thing about fear and ignorance allowing us to dictate our financial decisions, and we should never allow fear or ignorance to dictate. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being ignorant. There's something wrong with staying ignorant, and you should never be scared of something that you don't know about. And essentially, a lot of individuals are scared of something because they have not put money in the market. And what I ask them is, what other alternatives do you have? You show me another alternative that can give you a 13.22% rate of return for the 3-year average, which is what the Dow Jones gave us over the past 3 years. You show me another alternative that can give you that type of return, that can give you that type of security. And again, what we have to do, and this is what Lewis has been doing for years, and what I've been doing for years, is directly addressing and making sure that you know that there are other alternatives, such as exchange-traded funds. For $150 a share, you can buy the entire S&P 500 through the SPY, the Spiders. You can buy.
It's a ticker. All you need is a trading account to get in.
Exactly.
And this gives you exposure to the entire S&P 500.
Again, you don't trust it. Again, you don't trust because it's high risk. But there's ways to mitigate that risk by diversifying your portfolio.
I want to remind my viewers that you, Lewis, you talk to people who, in many cases, start off without a great deal of financial literacy. So it's not, you guys are not guys who are dealing with exclusively high net worth individuals who know the money markets and the financial markets inside out. Get down to specifics with me, Lewis. How should a newbie get their feet wet? What should they do with their money if they want to, if they've listened to you today and they want to do something?
Okay, so the first thing they need to do is they need to get educated, understand the difference between risk and volatility. They need to learn the rules of the game again. Ryan and I have written countless books on all this stuff, and it's basically what we're trying to tell people. Learn the rules of the game and don't feel intimidated. Ask a lot of questions. And if you're going to seek help, go to people who are not going to sell you a product. There are a lot of great fee-only financial advisors throughout the country who are not going to sell you anything and give you great advice.
Fee meaning you pay them. Obviously, you have to pay them for the value of their advice, but you pay them a fee like you would a lawyer or an accountant as opposed to necessarily a commission.
Right. And again, be careful. Anybody you talk to is going to try to sell you something. But it's more of an intimidation factor at this point. What happens in our communities is we don't have money mentors. You know, the reason I one time went into and opened up a mutual fund because I had a friend who had done it, and he goes, let me show you how. And so now what happens is business model and financial planning, it's really made it into a point that it's not sustainable for a lot of advisors to work with the poor or work with people who are just barely making it. And so it's all about priorities. And so I tell you what, look,
Ryan is very big on this as well. Ryan, you're very big on mentoring people. This is one of your biggest points in your book, that people need mentors. They need to say, hey, I like the way you make money. Let me in on that.
It's time for us to start looking for education from outside of the box thinking. We don't necessarily have to go to a financial advisor to get educated, but you must get educated.
If I'm putting in $25 a week, or I'm putting in $150, how do I do so without getting scraped through with these fees that Lewis keeps talking about? Are there ways to get in and not end up overpaying to be a small investor?
Again, we have to educate ourselves. I mean, again, the direct purchase programs, many of these companies are charging nothing, $0 for you to invest directly within those companies. Stock websites like sharebuilder.com that invest about $4 per transaction fee. You got buyandhold.com, which has a little bit more excessive fees, but it's very important for you to educate yourself about how to go about purchasing these different types of things. FolioFN.com is another different site in order to make sure you can have that direct. OneShare.com allows you to invest in one individual stock and get one share to maybe give as a different gift or something.
That's like a gift to a kid or something to get them to encourage them.
You frame it, you put it up on your wall, and it allows you to give you a good motivational boost. So again, I'm advocating making sure that before you put your dollar in anything, you fully educate yourself about it.
Both of these guys have written great books that appeal to people who are otherwise, as Lewis says, intimidated by the idea of getting into the stock market. Luis Barajas is a personal financial advisor in Los Angeles, and Ryan Mack is the president of Optimum Capital Management here in New York. Okay, 47% of you that don't invest, that's it. I'm off my soapbox. No more complaining, no more berating you about not cashing in on this rally. Coming up next.